Good morning, everybody. Christine Williams, happy Friday. I'm here coming to you from Boundless Coaching, my coaching and training company. And our little webinar today is on creating your calendar. So since we are a few days away from August, I'm calling this class our August Success Calendar. So hope you're taking notes, or hopefully you have your phone if you're using an electronic calendar, or if you've got your paper calendar in front of you. We're gonna give you some tips on how to create your calendar so that when August hits next week, you're ready to roll. So first question is, how many of you actually do create a calendar every month that includes your business and your personal activities? I'm thinking it's probably not very many. And do you use paper or an e-calendar like Google, or both? For the longest time I did paper for many, many, many years. And I'm still a paper chick. This is my daily journal of to-dos, activities. I love it, touch it, feel it. It's got a little closure on it. And that's how I keep track of what I'm doing on a daily basis. However, my calendar, I used to print out and write on a handwritten calendar. I had, the nice little books that you buy at Office Depot or Staples all the time. And then I started using my Google Calendar as well. And my concern was if your phone dies or Google crashes, which can happen, or any technology issues, then you're frozen in time because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be. So I was always using the paper as a backup. Somehow I weaned myself off, so I am using electronic calendar. So let's pray we have no technology blackouts. So I am personally using an e-calendar, which I will share with you in a few minutes. Actually, let me do that right now. Hang tight. Let's see if I can show you my Google Calendar. Let's see. I don't want to show you. Let me see if we can get in here. Well. I may have to show you after the meeting. So I will do, let's see here. I will do that after the meeting. But I will show you everything I have is completely time blocked. Here it is in small print. If you guys can see this from the phone, that, my friends, is my July. And you see the dots. Let me pull down the dots. And that's what a day looks like. See, it's time blocked out from morning till the end. So I've got things in here we'll talk about after we talk about what goes in there. And I will share with you the details I have in my calendar. And then who are you going to communicate your availability with? Well, obviously your customers, and you're going to need to do that obviously in the listing presentations and your buyer consultations. So you need to figure out what your day off is, and you need to communicate that to them without any apology. So, hey, I'm not available on Sundays. Boom, no explanation. So you're going to need to think about that as well. So how do we create a calendar of events that includes both our personal and our business? So where do we start? We start with the non-negotiables. So those are the things that are already scheduled. They're fixed time items. And do we start with family or work first? Family and personal. So August, guys, in case you're not in freak out mode yet, is back to school month. So you know when the little kiddies are going back to school. You know when it's early release day. You know when it's the half day. You know when you've got your PTA open house coming up next month. And you also know that you're going to have to go back to school shopping for new clothes and school supplies. So schedule that, guys. I'm not telling you to be an ODD, anal retentive, planning every minute, but you need to block things out in your life. So go ahead and put those items in there. Those things have to happen. So then if you are parent pickup, if you're the one picking them up, you need to block out that hour and a half or 2 hours or however the heck long you're sitting in that line every day. Obviously, it's a great idea if you could create a carpool with your neighbors or your kids' friends or parents, etc. And so that you don't have to do that every day, because that will absolutely affect your business day. If you have to leave at 2:30 or early release in a lot of counties is one day a week, and it's, gosh, like lunchtime. So go ahead and figure out when you're not available for family activities. What about football practice or Saturday soccer games or the doctor's appointments to get their shots updated, or their flu shots or their physicals, or your doctor appointments? Those are set things that are non-negotiables, right? Just had the hair done a couple days ago, see? So hair appointments, salon appointments, massages, anything that's a self-care for anybody in the family, taking the dog to the vet, all those things are non-negotiable items in your life. Those come first. So put those in there. Also, August kicks off preseason for football, which is a huge event in a lot of lives here in our country. So if you are season ticket holders or you are going to the Thursday night games in August, block those out. That's family time. In addition to that, you need to think about, do you have your last family vacation coming up? Oof, mark it out. Even if it's staycay, make sure that you are blocking out time to spend as a family unit, going to the movies or going to the zoo or whatever's going on, going to movies in the park. On that note, if you're in a relationship of any sort, you need to have a weekly date night that's non-negotiable. You need to put that in your calendar every week. If you are not in a relationship with anybody in particular, then you need to at least get out socially once or twice a week with friends, even if that's just a 2-hour dinner. Not work-related at all. Those things are part of a healthy lifestyle. So all of that family stuff goes in first. The other thing that's important to a lot of us in our lives is spirituality. So if you are a part of some kind of spiritual group, whether it's religious or non, and you guys have regular meetings, whether it's Sundays or Thursdays or Saturdays or Wednesdays or whatever it may be, and that is an integral part of your lifestyle, that's a non-negotiable item. You need to set aside time for that, period. So those are the things that you put in your calendar. That's first. Now we get to the work stuff. So how many days off do you normally take every week? My recommendation is, if you're new in the business or you're trying to grow your business, maybe you are a seasoned agent and you're just trying to go into an expansion mode or want to ramp things up, then you need to work 6 days a week, period. So figure out what your day off is. What's your slowest day? Do you want it to be Sunday because that's the day you are involved again with maybe your spiritual organization, or that's the day when you can hang out with your partner and the family, and so that's just the downtime day? Nobody says that you have to do real estate every Saturday and Sunday. That is a myth, people. Sundays are my day off. So figure out what day is your day off. Maybe it's Mondays. Maybe, Mondays is sometimes a hard time to get in touch with people for prospecting. Their mind's back in the grind. They're not going to answer the calls. They're at work, what have you. So figure out what your day is. The important thing is, we know we can't ignore prospect phone calls, phone calls from agents setting up showings on our listings. So obviously you have to have some kind of accessibility. That doesn't mean you have to answer the phone every time it rings. There's a thing called voicemail. So people can voicemail you, they can email you, they can text you if they are trying to show you one of your listings, or they have a question, or one of your buyers has a question. Other than that, you need to unplug. So figure out what your one day off is, and I would even go a step or several steps further and have a partner in your office, even if you're not doing business together, where you guys have different days off and you transfer your phone calls to your partner on that day. And then your outgoing voicemail says, I'm out of the office today. Please call Jane Smith for all of your needs. Monday, August 29th, whatever the day is, for between 8 and 5. So you can do that as well. Your text messages, set them up so that you're in drive mode. And I think somebody's messaging me who maybe want to be on here. Let's see. Hang tight a minute. So anyway, let's go back to text settings. Mine is a Google phone, so I'm not sure how your guys' works, but 3 dots up at the top, at the very top, and I know we got some shine going on here. your little drop-down box, you can customize and put it in. My phone is currently in drive mode. So you can do an auto response, and mine says auto response in parentheses first, and then it says, thank you for contacting me. I'm either driving or on an appointment. I'll respond as soon as I can. Respectfully, Christine. So that, my phone, I don't know, does its own little thing. So it actually is in drive mode, whether I'm sitting right here right now, which is fine because obviously I'm busy. I can be out to dinner with a friend and it's in drive mode. So it's pretty much in drive mode 24/7. So at least that sends somebody a response automatically, because if somebody's texting us, let's face it, guys, people expect immediate gratification. So they think that no matter where you are, what you're doing in the world, if they text you, poof, you can respond. Well, that's not the case. I know here in Florida, we now have the great texting law, so you can no longer text and drive, thank God, which is the case in many other states. So there are certain situations when we're not even available for texting. Turn your auto response on. So the next thing you're going to want to put in there, and after determining your family life, your spiritual life, and your days off, now we're getting to the work stuff. So what do we put in there first? So again, the non-negotiables. Time blocking for trainings. So where do you find trainings? Hopefully your brokerage has a calendar of events for all the trainings in your office. And then there's obviously tons of trainings through Facebook events, through local vendors and affiliates. Other offices typically allow you to join in their trainings as well. And then of course, there's tons of sponsored ads with free webinars, such as what's going on here. So those are non-negotiable because those are set times. So go ahead and put in the trainings that you're going to do for the month. And I recommend that you do training every month of some sort to stay on top of the game. So those go in first. So next, prospecting. That's the main name of the game, right? So how many hours a day are you supposed to be prospecting? Rule of thumb is minimum of 3, and you should make a minimum, very base minimum of 10 contacts a day. A contact is not emailing somebody. Poof, I did it. No, a contact in our world is a meaningful interaction, a conversation, whether by text, email, private message, but it is an interaction between two people regarding real estate. So if you email and they don't respond for 6 hours and then they do respond back, that is a contact. However, if you're just emailing, that does not count if you don't get the response. So you need 3 hours dedicated to whatever your prospecting activities are going to be on a daily basis. And I'm here to tell you, in today's world, with all the shifts going on in the market in different areas of the country, 10 people a day is probably not even enough. So your prospecting time is number 1 as far as, or number 2 after training as far as work activities. It's the number 1 way to create business, of course. So what's the best time to do so? Well, have you heard this saying, eat the frog? Do the things that will bring you business first, or the things that you maybe don't want to do. Do those, get them out of the way. So what's recommended often is prospecting time should be first thing, 9 to 12, as soon as the workday starts. However, we know that people are at work. So if you are finding in your personal world that that's not a good time, you're not reaching very many people, your ratio of calls to actual contacts is very low, then you absolutely have the right to create your own schedule. Maybe your prospecting time is 2 to 5 when people are in that parent pickup line or at the grocery store, to bring stuff home for dinner for the evening. Maybe it's after dinner. Maybe it's 6 to 9. So figure out what that prospecting time is for you, and it may be by trial and error. But you need 3 hours a day to reach at least 10 people a day. And then the whole prospecting thing we go into and other trainings as far as who to call and how to follow up and all that jazz. So speaking of follow-up, that's a whole separate ballgame, guys. 10 contacts isn't, oh, let me see what Sally thought about the house we looked at on Saturday. That's follow-up. That's a different contact than prospecting. Don't get the two confused, and don't cheat yourself. Prospecting is searching for new business to fill your pipeline. Follow-up is people you're already engaged with to see where things are and in the process. So my suggestion on follow-up, a lot of people say Mondays after the weekend. My suggestion is follow up Fridays. Call it your Friday follow-up time and set aside 2 or 3 hours to reach out to everybody in your pipeline, your buyers and your sellers. Give the sellers the weekly update on the marketing and the showing feedback. And then with your buyers, again, kind of check in, reassess where things were from the last showings that you've had, and let them know your availability for the weekend perhaps. But people are in a good mood on Fridays, right? So Friday is the good follow-up day, in my opinion. Try it. So what are your other activities that you're doing for prospecting? Maybe calling for sell by owners or expireds, or you're door knocking, or you're going to networking events or open houses. So obviously you need to set aside and block that time out. Let's take open houses, for example. Let's say you're going to do one every Saturday. My open house time is typically 11 to 1 on Saturdays. That seems to work for me. Sundays, people are at their house of worship, or as we're rolling into August, as I mentioned, that's football Sunday. It's hard to reach people. So I like to do them on Saturdays. You do them whatever works for you in your market. So obviously you've got to set aside the time when you're actually there. And obviously there's prep time for an open house, right? So you need to figure out, are you going to go get the balloons? How much time do you need to put out all the directional signs? Maybe it's an hour before the event. And you need a good 20 minutes or so inside the open house before it opens to turn on all the lights, the ceiling fans, set your snacks out, set your feedback sheets out, etc. So a 2-hour open house might actually cost you 4 hours of your day on the event day. In addition to that, what gets people in the door is all the marketing ahead of time. So if you know that you're doing an open house on Saturday, my recommendation is you better start marketing the Monday before, a whole week. Social media push, put it on Facebook events, push it out on Instagram, LinkedIn, on all the different social media sites. Perhaps do a Facebook event, Eventbrite event. So you're going to need to set aside time that week to market the open house event, as well as the best thing to do for open houses is door knocking in the neighborhood prior to. So maybe you're going to set aside 3 hours that Friday to go door knock late afternoon to let the neighbors know that you'll be there Saturday morning. So that's another thing you're doing that Friday after your follow-up calls. So you need to start thinking about, what are you going to do? August is next week, guys. What are the activities that you're going to do to create business? And then you really have to create your calendar around that. So worry about the details later. Some other things you can do, obviously, you're prospecting, again, networking. If you like to do networking events, then you better identify now. The calendar is already out there, right? People plan well in advance for events. So they're going to be on Facebook events, on Eventbrite, and Meetup are 3 great ways to find business networking events. So identify the ones where you think that you're going to get business, and I'm not talking about your local realtor association events. If you want to go to those, that should be on your own time. That's not where you're going to get business. To me, that's an excuse not to do business activities, just to go hang out with your real estate buddies for lunch every day if broker opens. Just saying. So the way to get business is to purposely seek out networking events with the public, not with your realtor friends. So identify those, and of course the little tip is, if there's a registration fee, go ahead and pay for all those now before August begins. Obviously, you've got more skin in the game if you've already paid for the ticket. Plus, the cool events sell out anyway. So if networking is part of your prospecting, identify those before next week. So what about setting aside time? I time block to go to lunch with a past customer or somebody in my sphere, a friend, so we can talk about real estate at least twice a month. So I go ahead and identify a couple of days where I'm kind of open in the middle of the day, and I just block it out. You can identify who you're going to go to lunch with later on. What we're doing right now is just time blocking for all the activities we're going to do. You can worry about the details. You can even do the details like the Friday before the following week. And then what about reading for professional development? Are you engaging in that? That is another way to obviously keep your mind on top of things, to enrich who you are as a realtor and as a person in general. So whether it's by audiobook, or I still like to see it, touch it, feel it books. I've got my 2 stacks over here behind me. So set aside, and it's in my calendar, 30 minutes a day. So figure out when your reading time is. So it could be, maybe it's 30 minutes a day, maybe it's a chapter a day. So maybe it's just that small, but get into the habit of reading or listening to audio, but something with books daily. And perhaps you can join a local book club through your local book club, or if you're part of a coaching group, or maybe there's just a book club in general, a business book club in your area. So that's a great way to make sure that you're reading every month too. Obviously, allow for flex time. We're in real estate. We deal with people every day. Schedules change. You know what they say about the best laid plans. So no matter how much you are time blocking and you think you know what your day is going to be like, poof, it blows up, right? Your buyer gets sick. Their 3-year-old gets sick. The house you guys were going to go look at goes under contract before you get there. Things change. So allow flex time. I don't have every single hour mapped out. I have blocks. The important thing is if your schedule shifts, we say if you erase, you must replace. So blocking for prospecting should be a non-negotiable. However, let's say you've got people flying in, out-of-town buyers for relocation, so they're on a mission for 2 days. So maybe you have to dedicate your prospecting time, obviously, to running them around to get them on contract. That is a money-making activity, so that's numero uno. So all that prospecting time that you missed over those 2 days, you need to go and add that later on in the week. So you don't dismiss it for the week, oh, because I got a contract, I don't have to prospect. No, you add those hours back in later on at the week. So that's one thing you need to do. So the other thing to think about too is, last but not least, me time. So are you doing it, again, we talked about reading. Is exercise a part of your regular routine? My phone tells me the days I'm supposed to do beach runs and the days I'm supposed to go to the gym. I will tell you, I have missed yesterdays. So guess what I get to do today? You can't even tell, I'm in my workout clothes. Guess what's going to be happening later on? A little double up. So make sure that you are taking care of you. Are you journaling? Are you putting positive thoughts in your head with positive affirmations, even if it's like what a lot of us do? We push out a positive meme or quote every morning because that's forcing you to read it too. What about devotionals or yoga or anything like that? So when in the world do you do these things to take care of you? Because if you've got the kids and you're rushing them around everywhere, and you've got showing appointments and you're supposed to be prospecting, and I'm telling you you're supposed to be reading, when in the world are you going to exercise and do your journaling and do your devotionals? So 5 o'clock in the morning, my friends. What they say is all the great leaders get up between 5 and 5:30. All these people that are successful, the Virgin Airlines Richard guy and Tony Robbins and all of our big people get up between 5 and 5:30 in the morning. That first hour of the day needs to be for you, because if you are not well mentally, physically, or spiritually, how in the world can you effectively serve others? So if you were having to get up at 6 to get breakfast ready for the family, get the kids dressed, get your partner out the door, whatever it is, then you personally need to be getting up at least at 5. And if obviously that's probably not enough time to travel to the gym, so maybe you simply do some yoga or some stretching or something at the house. Hopefully you have some equipment maybe in another room. If you realize that your day is going to run away from you and you can't go to the gym, and that is a part of your self-care maintenance, then you might need to get up at 4:30. So the important thing is you have to set aside time for self-care. And again, that needs to be the first hour of the day so that your mindset is right, you're physically well, and that way you're refreshed. And there's no excuses later that you didn't make it to the gym or you didn't do your devotionals or your yoga or what have you. And then remember, as we're wrapping things up, your non-negotiables, you put in all of your family events. You know the kids have to get to school. You know you got to pick them up. You know, little Johnny has soccer practice every Saturday at 10. These are non-negotiables. And I'm asking you to add in other non-negotiables such as, family dinner time. at least once a week. Date night with your partner at least once a week. And then you put in your trainings because those are already scheduled. And then we said if networking is a part of your prospecting activities, those are already scheduled events. And then you break it down from there. You look at the slots left over during the day and set aside 3-hour blocks, at least 5 days a week for your prospecting. So I hope this has given you some ideas on how to work on your August calendar this weekend. And if you would like to reach out to me with any questions or comments, feel free to do so in my Facebook business page at Boundless Business Coaching, or by email integrityandauthenticity@gmail.com. Happy Friday, everybody, or Friday. Have a great weekend.